Hi folks, this is Dr. Rob Cywes, and today we're going to talk as part of my work as the CarbAddictionDoc. We're going to talk about one fundamental effort-based emotion management system. There are four pillars to a healthy effort-based emotion management system. Physical activity, creative arts, spirituality, meditation, and empathetic human connection. And today I want to talk about the value of physical activity. Now, the way it works, folks, is that one of the fundamental things that every child is exposed to, and some children incorporate into their lives and some don't, are effort-based emotion management systems. And one of those is physical activity. And in an effort-based emotion management system, you need to put effort in up front to activate the endorphin system. And physical activity of any kind, no matter how trivial it is, activates the endorphin system in a very powerful way. That group of hormones that relaxes us, that gives us dissipation of emotional tension. And we need to do that on a regular basis each day. So what physical activity does as an effort-based system, it's not a spike, like shooting up with heroin or eating some ice cream. As you are physically active, the endorphin system gets slowly activated over time. So there's a rise in endorphin activation. And the value of that over time is that if you allow yourself to, during the time component of being physically active, the endorphin effect is such that it relaxes you, but it also connects you with your subconscious, where you've hoarded and stored a whole bunch of issues that you haven't dealt with. So while you're on that walk, just slowly relaxing, you can now connect with and deal with certain issues in your subconscious and come to terms with them, let them go, but develop a strategy for dealing with issues that are driving your emotional needs. And at the end of that walk, irrespective of how long or how far or how fast, irrespective of the outcome, you can feel unconditionally proud of the fact that you went for that walk. And that unconditional pride in tiny little increments builds up self-esteem and self-confidence. So we're going to go through 8 plus a bonus reason or factors of the value of physical activity and exercise. And the first one, as we've just discussed, is the endorphin effect, a very powerful foundational element to the endorphin effect. But if physical activity is going to be valuable to you, it has to be practiced every day. It has to become part of the fabric of your life, because you're not suddenly going to take your dog for a walk on a really bad day if you don't take your dog for a walk every day. Create the muscle memory, and then you'll lean that way in a very healthy emotion management endorphin effect. And it also helps to build emotional buoyancy. It helps to put money in the bank. So if you go for a short walk in the morning, take the dog for a walk in the morning, you're more likely to rise up above and surf over all the shit that comes at you through the day, rather than just clashing with it because you're under all this kind of stress. So put emotional money in the bank from that endorphin effect. The next value of physical activity, number 2, is its cardiovascular effect. Yeah, the heart's beating every day, and it's the only muscle that works all the time, because when it doesn't work, we're kind of dead. So the heart is there beating all day long. But it's pretty cool to exercise the heart, just bump up that heart rate a little bit to improve the function of your heart. It opens up those blood vessels in the heart. It makes them function a little bit better. If you've got some plaque built up, it'll streamline some of that plaque. It opens up your coronary vessels. It helps your heart. It helps your lungs. It helps all the blood vessels stay nimble, stay on their toes. So physical activity that slightly bumps up your heart rate doesn't have to be going for a sprint. It could be. But physical activity helps the heart, helps your entire cardiovascular system, rather than just being this mundane boop, boop, boop. You get it to rush a little bit. It has tremendous cardiovascular benefits. The next thing is acute inflammation. Inflammation occurs in the muscles, in the joints, everywhere. And inflammation, because our skeletal muscle is such a large component of the human body, a lot of that sedentariness just tightens everything up. And it starts to affect our joints and our muscles and our ligaments as well. So physical activity is a very, very effective way to get rid of acute inflammation. and it actually helps to subside the immune system. At first, when you first start exercising and being physically active, it ramps up the immune system because you're creating little tears and little injuries to your muscles. That's fine. That's why we don't overdo it at the beginning. Start out with a walk and then slowly add a jog, and then don't go for a 10-mile run the first day you're out, because you're going to rip up your muscles and it's going to cause a lot of inflammation and pain and soreness. Start slowly, ease your way in, but it really, really is a very powerful anti-inflammatory effect when done consistently over time. And the bizarre part, as long as you're not injuring yourself, it is an immune suppressant, which is kind of gets the soldiers to back off. And that's kind of what you're looking for. The fourth value of physical activity is that it empties the liver. The liver always preemptively stores some sugar as glycogen. It either makes it from protein or from the carbohydrates you're eating, but there is this glycogen store in your livers and in your liver and your muscles. And from time to time, emptying that out, the liver has to replenish that system. It's a very, very effective, healthy way of cycling liver productivity. And in fact, before surgery, I advocate very heavily for people doing bits of physical activity to shrink their liver down, to empty it of that excess glycogen and give the liver a break. So emptying the liver, cycling that glycogen out of the liver is a very, very important component of frequent bouts of physical activity. And as we talked about the acute inflammation of the muscles and the general immune system, fibromyalgia is a fictitious disease of being sedentary. Fibromyalgia is where your ligaments and your joints around your muscles, around the muscular body on either end and around the joints become stiff and inflamed because of disuse. And frequent physical activity is the best antidote, not some pill that some drug manufacturer made, but physical activity, movement, is the single best antidote to fibromyalgia. And no matter how restricted you are in your capacity to be physically active, if you can put food in your mouth, you can be physically active. So don't tell me you can't, oh, I can't. Garbage. Never met the fat person who couldn't eat. If that's you, we'll forgive you from being physically active. But if you can do this, you can be physically active. So cut the BS. Physical activity is extremely valuable when it comes to back and joint pain. Now, if you hurt your knee, if you twisted your knee, don't go for a run to loosen that up, but move your knee, be physically active. The recommendation I always get for people with back pain, oh, I put my back out, I can't move, I'm going to go lie down. They lie down, take a whole bunch of medications and drugs to alleviate. Folks, your muscles have gone into spasm. Yeah, you put your back out, the nerves hurt, the muscles do this, and they just stuck there. And if you get into bed and your muscle, it ain't going to get better. Think of your spine just being a column of blocks on top of each other, and the muscles and the ligaments support that. Well, if there's a slight twist, the muscles support that twist and they keep it fixed. It's movement, it's massage, it is physical therapy, it is chiropractor, and most importantly, the single best physical therapy you do is for yourself. Go for that walk, stretch, get in a pool, be physically active, you loosen up the muscles, and then by magic, those bones will realign themselves. So don't go plonk yourself into bed when you've hurt your back. Get up and move around a little bit. Anytime I'm feeling my back is out or I'm a little bit sore stiff, that's when we go for a walk. Be careful, you don't want to hurt yourself. But physical activity is an excellent resource for getting rid of back pain and joint relief. Number 7, folks, is a very, very simple but important scientific fact. The most commonly associated characteristic of longevity is mobility. Mobility is the most important characteristic directly associated with longevity. The ability to go within a bathroom and wipe your own ass. The ability to get up out of a chair. The ability to feed yourself. The ability to move around equates with longevity. And as anasarca starts to develop, I saw this in my dad in his last year of life. His world just became smaller and smaller and smaller as someone who was always very physically active, not an exerciser, but continuously physically active. As he sat around, as he withdrew, we knew that that was the beginning of the end. And eventually he was bedridden and died. That that reduction in mobility is a direct precursor to death. The more mobile you are, the more likely you are to survive for long periods of time. So mobility of any form of physical activity is critically important. The number 8 reason to be physically active is you look pretty good. Okay? For a lot of people, especially in my practice where they're obese, they're obsessed with the scale, they're obsessed with the weight. But then we get them to lose the weight. Then what? They're still obsessed with it? No. Be aware of the scale when you've lost the weight, but now use the mirror as your guiding light. And if you don't like what you see, get your ass out of the chair, start being physically active, work on your muscles, work on your core, work on your shape. And when you start looking good, you feel great, it is such a boost to your self-confidence and to your self-esteem. When you start, oh, look, I've got a muscle over here. Or look, the wrapping's coming off the six-pack. But that's earned, folks. It's earned by repetitive physical activity or exercise. I've got a number of my patients who are CrossFitters who want that extra boost about how do I do better. So these are not people with sickness or liability. They're just trying to be even better. And the high that those people live on is absolutely incredible. Yeah, some of them use the gym as a drug, and that may be a liability. But if you're physically active, if your body is looking good, you typically feel great because you earned that. So looking good because of physical activity is a very, very important component of self-esteem and self-confidence building. And yes, it takes time, but that's the beauty about it, is it does take time. It happens every day. It's a little reward every day. Those are the 8 reasons to exercise. Now, remember this. What didn't we mention? We didn't mention weight loss. We didn't mention calorie burning because those are absolute bullshit. There are a couple of more pieces to come, so stay with this video. So do not use exercise as a way to burn calories. When I was fat, they said, oh, you've got to exercise, you've got to burn the calories. So I'd get my 300-pound ass on the treadmill, and I'm walking away, and after a while, the treadmill says, you burnt 1,000 calories. But guess what? I feel like crap. And this ice cream that I'm about to eat, this keto ice cream, is only 90 calories. So I'm still down 910 calories. That's the logic that fat people use to exercise. To pay off. It gives me the ability to have a little bit of my drug of choice because I burnt it off. And then eventually you say, well, I'm going to eat this now and then I'll burn it off. I'll go for a walk later. And later never comes. Exercise has nothing to do with caloric management or weight loss other than as an endorphin replacement. Now, the bonus here, folks, the bonus is this. Oh, I'm too busy to exercise. I don't have time. You know what? In this world now with COVID, where we're on Zoom all the time, our asses are glued to a chair all the time, there is huge value, the number 9 bonus, to just standing. Standing. Turn your screen up and stand and take a Zoom call standing. In my office where I'm doing a lot of telemedicine, telehealth, I'm on the phone, I'm on the screen all the time. When I'm taking a phone call, I stand up. Standing versus sitting has so many benefits. It's physically active, it reduces fibromyalgia, you recreate your lumbar lordosis, which is the correct curvature of an adult spine, where you should be two inward curves and 2 outward curves. That's a normal healthy spine. When you sit down on your ass, those curves go away, and that puts undue pressure on your spine. Getting up and standing and moving around, well, you're not just going to stand there like a soldier. You're going to move around, you're going to use your arms, it is such a cool thing to do, just getting up and standing. And that's physical activity. And the bonus here is if you don't have time to go and be physically active, get your ass out of the chair, stand up. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to, if you're able to stand, if your hips and your legs work. I understand, obviously, people that are stuck in wheelchairs, but even my patients with wheelchairs, they'll say, hey, I'm going for a walk. And I commend them so much. It's such a beautiful thing. Even people who are quadriplegic can still go for a walk because it isn't just about the physical aspects, it's about the mental aspects. And I love that about my empowered patients with liabilities like quadriplegia or paralysis from the hips down. But get out there and do stuff. In fact, I have one patient who was enormously obese, who'd already had an amputation. And when he came in, I said to him, my goal for you is not losing weight. My goal for you is to walk. Because he couldn't walk. He came in a chair. He was too fat to walk. He couldn't even fit his prosthesis on his leg because his leg was too fat. Guess what, folks? He's walking. And I am so proud and so humbled by the effort and the work that he's put in. But he did it. We set that goal together. Yeah, the weight loss has come and gone, but he's now walking. He's learning to walk again. And the self-esteem and the self-confidence in that guy is so huge because he has mobility. Love it. Just one other comment, one other sad note in my opinion. I don't care what you do with your bodies. We're all going to die. How you do it, I just don't care. But I had a patient recently that started with me, and we started along the ketogenic pathway, very authoritarian person, very insecure at a core level, very weak core, but a very strong facade, very hardcore facade, very into this person's looks. And we started on a ketogenic diet, and the next time we met, the person said to me, you know what, I can't do this. I can't do what you asked me to do. I said, why not? She said, well, I've got a personal trainer. And my personal trainer says I must eat 6 to 8 small meals a day, and we're pounding it away in the gym, and I'm exhausted, and I can't do it, but I have to do it because I want to compete in a competition. And I couldn't understand. I said, okay, I understand that the trainer is there to help you to condition your body, to cut your body, to do all that stuff. Be like the keto savage Robert Sykes, who's a carnivore. Follow those people, Danny Vega, some of these people I look up to, the Minnesota girl. There are people that I just look at iconically because they've done this in a healthy, good way as part of an endorphin keto carnivore way of doing things. But don't necessarily do what Arnold Schwarzenegger did on steroids. So as we spoke more, I said, I just don't understand why this person, this personal trainer that you've hired, is so diabolically opposed to what we're telling you. You have to eat carbohydrates. You have to eat tons of protein. Don't eat fat. I don't understand that. It's not their expertise. And then it came out that, and I didn't ask how, but somewhere along the line, this trainer uses 4 drugs, decadurabolon, testosterone, and 2 other male steroids in a female, to help them to bodybuild. And if they don't eat this way and don't train like crazy, those drugs are just going to destroy them. Now, as a young person, I had to make that decision. I spent a lot of time in the gym, rugby was my game, and I knew that I wasn't quite at the elite level. But if I used these drugs, I could build my body into that elite shape. And as a young person in medical school, I decided to go the medical route rather than the rugby route. I had the capability, I had the capacity. A lot of my friends, a lot of guys I played with used a ton of drugs to boost up and to build their bodies so that they could play at that elite level. Obviously, you had to have skill as well. And you know what? I can't criticize those people. I can't criticize them. Just don't do yourself harm. But I do have some very personal issues that you are so barren from a self-esteem and a self-confidence perspective that you have to look good using all of those drugs. Somewhere along the line, that feeds into the addiction mentality. I'm not going to be critical of it. I've just made my own decision about it. You know what? If that's what it takes to look beautiful, in your opinion, that's fine. And if you're willing to do that damage to your life, that's fine. But I don't consider that in the realm of healthy physical activity. Just a thought. I'd love to hear your comments. Love to hear your comments. I don't think performance-enhancing drugs are as harmful as they have been proposed to be, but I certainly don't think they're safe. And if that's what you get off on, that's fine. But that's opening a huge box of discussion. I'd love to hear your comments. Please leave some comments at the end of this. If you do leave a comment, at least hit the subscribe button. We will have a discussion on PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs, as an exclusive topic in the next few sessions. Take care. I hope I've made you think whether you agree or disagree.